starting some live demonstration for you. It's a little treat. Hopefully we'll have some more folks join in. We'll be starting in just a minute here.
Started down. Yeah.
Welcome to our friends online. We'll just show some of the work on the shelves here. Welcome, welcome. So welcome to our virtual craft folks that are going to be joining us. And we're just going to be getting started here in a minute. So my name's Josh. I'm part of the Art of Fire Glass Studio. Sorry, it's going to be a little weird of a transition. And now we're inside the booth where we do our live demonstrating. Yeah. Evening all. Hey Barry, welcome, welcome. So my name's Josh and I'm part of the Art of Fire Glass Studio. And we're here at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. And we have quite a nice view from inside our booth looking out on the folks. Welcome, Kev. Hello, Jake. How's it going? Nice to see you folks. Good day and welcome to the Royal Glassworks. So Foster's now picking up a small piece of color from the oven at the back of the studio. And he's going to be heating that color inside a furnace that's strictly used to reheat the glass. Now the color we use comes in bar form and is imported from Germany, and it's made by adding different oxides of metals to the glass. For instance, if you add manganese, you get purples and lavenders. Copper oxide will give you the red colors. Cobalt, of course, will give you blue. And if you add gold to the glass, you get a cranberry pink color. So Foster cut a small piece of what color, Foster?
This is a powder blue color.
Okay, a powdered blue. And he's heating it inside that furnace. Now that has about a temperature of 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we can take that color, and if we crush it up, we get what's called frit, which are these chips of glass that you see on the marbury table over here. And they come in all different sizes. And it looks like he's going to be using a multicolor frit in just a few steps. If you're just joining us, we're at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Foster Holcomb's going to be demonstrating, making a couple vases for us. Now that he has the color molted, he's using that steel top table to cool and shape it. He'll then blow into the pipe, trap the air with his finger. The trapped air heats up and it expands a small bubble into that color.
And so here we have colored glass initially on the end of the blow pipe. This is one of the ways of introducing color to the glass that you see about you in our studio today, by having the colored glass initially on the end of the blow pipe. Again, it is one of the ways of introducing color. By having the color initially on the end of the pipe, it is one of the ways of introducing color.
Morning, Pete. Where are you watching us from? You say it's morning for you. Welcome all that are joining us from the virtual craft festivals.
Now this is the main glass furnace. It has a reservoir of clear molten glass on the floor of the furnace at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The clear glass appears orange or yellow in color because of that heat. And it is what we call a soda lime glass. It's 75% silica sand, 15% soda ash, and 10% limestone. Now, I'm using a tool that we call a block, which would, it generates a layer of steam for the glass to rise against. Blowing into the pipe, trapping air with my finger, forces that bubble of color down into the first gather or wrap of clear. Now I'm going to use that wooden block once again to cool and shape the glass. This we sometimes refer to as cased glass. It's colored, it's been encased in 1 or 2 layers of clear glass that color the color now on the end of the blow pipe. And you can see where the color has been expanded into that first gather or wrap of clear that is now on the end of the blow pipe.
If you folks are joining us on the Virtual Craft Festival, we're at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. We're here for 9 weeks out of the year doing demonstrations and meeting folks. If you're ever in town, feel free to join us.
It's a consecutive building process. So this is the second gather from the furnace.
Let's see if we can get a good close-up of the gather. So this is Foster's second gather of clear glass from the furnace. The amount of glass or gathers Foster gets determines the size he is able to make. And we're using a soda lime glass. It's 75% silica sand, 10% soda ash, and 15% limestone. So now he's using that fresh molten glass to pick up that frit we talked about, that crushed up colored glass. And it sticks to the hot molten clear glass. However, it's still a little rough. So in just a second, he'll use that furnace to melt that frit smooth. Now you're watching Foster Holcomb work. Foster learned to make glass in the industry school in England. And the type of glass you're watching him make is called cased glass. It's color with 2 or 3 of clear. He's using that larger size block to cool and shape it. Now these blocks are made from a piece of fruit wood, and the wood's cut green and remains in water for the life of the tool. It's going to do a little bit of shaping on that margarine table, that steel top table. As you can see, as the glass cools, he always needs to return to that furnace. So Foster just went into an optic or dip mode. It leaves an optical impressions on the surface of the glass. However, every time the glass is touched by a cold surface, Foster needs to take it back to that furnace. Foster's using jacks to cut down a neckline. This neckline will make the transfer a little bit easier later. He's also using that margarine table to cool the bottom. This helps keep the bottom of the vase a little bit thicker. Now this is freehand glass blowing. If the same vase were made in the glass industry, it would have been blown into a mold to give it its size and shape. Since no molds are used, Foster uses gravity, centrifugal force, along with over 30. He's reinforcing that constriction just past the end of the pipe. He's now using the paper jacks to cool and straighten the sides. A wood paddle is used to flatten the bottom. You can start to see those multicolors on the bottom of that vase there. He's also making an indentation in the bottom to allow room for the punty. Now Foster's going to hang that. He has 2 nails hanging, and it just allows it to hang there. It's hot enough where it will not crack, but it's cold enough where it does not move. And what he's doing is he has another solid iron that's called a punty, and he's getting a little bit of clear glass on the end. And the punty gets its name from the French word for bridge. The punty is called the bridging tool because it's allowing Foster to move the vase from the pipe, and he can then finish or open the mouth. So he does a little bit of shaping on that punty. And he attaches. He makes sure that punty is in line with the pipe. And he's getting a drop of water. He puts a drop of water on the neck, and with a light tap, it separates from the pipe. So Foster is now concentrating the heat of that furnace on the mouth or rim. Every once in a while, though, you'll see him place it all the way inside, and that's to bring some heat to that punty. The punty is only a small bit of glass, and if that bit of glass were to get too cold, the vase may come off before he was finished. Now, if this same piece were made in the glass industry, there would be a team of people working, each with a specific job. The first person would gather the glass and hand it to a gaffer. The gaffer would then blow it into a mold to give it its size and shape. They would hand it off to a third person who would open the mouth. However, no one single person would have the vase from start to finish. Foster is part of the studio art glass movement, which was revived in the 60s by Harvey Littleton and Dominic Labino. Studio art glass is highly sought after because it's done in the manner you see here, by one artist from start to finish, and each artist signs their work. All of the glass you see before you in our studio is signed and also for sale. And we do accept the King's MasterCard as well as the Queen's Lady Visa. We accept checks, and we'll even accept your cash, and we'll be more than happy to hold any purchases for you until later today. Now, you are able to purchase this picture you're watching Foster make, and we do accept custom orders, so you can choose the size, color, and shape you would like. However, if you would like this piece, it does need to be annealed. This tool is called a steam stick. The water is heating up and turning to steam, which then inflates the top of the vase. So when he has finished opening this vase, he'll take it off the punty and place it inside the oven at the back of the studio. That oven holds the glass made throughout the day at 1,000 degrees. At the end of the day, we shut it off, and the glass can cool very slowly overnight. This cooling is necessary, for if Foster just left this vase on the ground, it would cool too quickly and break. So tomorrow morning, he'll come into the studio.
It's cold. That would be me. So, here we go.
So it's going to take a second to happen, but when it happens, it's going to happen very quickly. So keep your eyes on Foster and the glass.
So you can see the naturally ruffled rim here. Thank you very much. That's the Italian handkerchief trap. We're glad that you've enjoyed the demonstration. We also hope you feel that you learned a little something during the demonstration. If you have additional questions, or we might need sales assistance, you are welcome to stay with us. We would be happy to talk with you, help you with those custom orders and purchases. We do trust that you are enjoying your day at the festival. Thank you for being with us for the hottest show in the realm. A good day to you one and all. Good day and a hearty goodbye. Thank you so much. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Foster.
Well, thank you guys very much. We hope that you all enjoyed that. And
So let me show you around the studio. So we're here for 9 weeks out of the year, and it's a permanent structure. And Foster, when did you build this structure?
this was built in 1985.
1985. So you can see it. I think it was Foster along with, who else built it with you?
Yeah, a couple of the builders back then. I don't recall their names off the top of my head. And but you notice the king post. This was originally all the way to the floor when we built this. We supported the roof with these support beams, and then cut the bottom off, and it's been this way ever since.
Very nice.
Yes.
It's a really great structure. And if you ever make it out to the fair, we're right up front. So as soon as you walk in the gates, you get to see us. And actually, if you look hanging, you can actually see the studio spirit. So that's the first piece of glass that's made for the year. And that gets hung up in the studio. And it stays there all year round until we do our last demonstration. And then they close for the year. Once we close, it gets taken down and usually gets sold to a really good customer. So we're always really happy about that one. So just like the building, our structures are also permanent. So this furnace is always here. We don't run it all the time. It actually just stays running for the 9 or 10 weeks that we're working here. But it's a furnace, gas fired. Fortunately, we're not wood. That would be a little too hard to manage. But a gas-fired furnace. We also have a gas-fired annealing oven. And let's see if we can get a picture of some of the stuff we've been making today. So you can see some of the work Foster's been making today. Some really nice vases, mugs, and stuff. So they're sitting in there at around 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we also have our glory hole, our reheating furnace. And this is here all the time, but of course it only runs when we're working. And that's at 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can see it's quite a large fair that we're at. One of the largest in the US. And it's a really nice company of people that work here, the actors, the people that work in the booths. Just a really great fair. So let's show a little bit of the glass that we have out, some of the ornaments. Here's an interesting pattern that's called reticello. If you look really close, you can actually see the little bubbles in between the canes, or rods or lines of glass. Here's some of our fish we have hanging up in the front of the studio. And then, of course, the lines that were controlled bubbles in the glass. Here's a planner, bubbles in the glass. Here's a planner. It has a crackled pattern, just a really nice pattern. And we're actually going to be starting another demonstration in about, let's say about 5 minutes. We have another part of the gallery over here.
Sir?
Yes.
Is it with the same? Is it with the same gentleman?
So we also have a little gallery off to the side here. We can display a little bit more of the work. And what's nice about it, versus like our website is we get to have unique pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces we can show off to people. And it also gives us a chance to play with different designs. It's a nice crackled pattern where we actually get the glass surface to break up a little and show the color underneath. Once again, you're watching The Art of Fire at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Just want to give just a shot of the outside of our booth. So you can see here's the entrance to the Renaissance Festival. When people come in, they're greeted by our booth where we do the live glass blowing. And we're here 9 weeks out of the year through the end of August through October. And we do a demonstration every 30 minutes, starting at 10:30. So it's just a really great structure. It's a permanent structure. Like Foster said earlier, it was built in 1985. And we have quite a few people that actually join us all day long just to watch the different demonstrations. So if you're ever in town, September and October, in the Maryland area, it's a great day to come out. Check out the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Some more. Have some really interesting tree pieces. Here's some more of our pumpkins. And we started doing some of the multicolor pumpkins. Different color stems. And we're going to be doing another demonstration in about 3 or 4 minutes here. Usually we do them every 30 minutes, but something special for the Virtual Craft Festival. We're going to do them back to back. Some of our
2 hours.
All right, so how we get set up is, first thing we need to do is preheat the pipes. So I'm actually going to grab a pipe for Foster. He's a little busy over there. So you can see it's a cold pipe. So I'm actually just putting it up in the pipe warmer for him to get set up for the next demonstration. I believe he already has some color, but let's just check in the oven to make sure he's got his color in there. So it should be on the left side over here. Yep, looks like he's got a piece of white in there. So we're good to go. That brings the white up to around 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll just give that pipe a minute or two to preheat. But welcome to our Virtual Craft Festival watchers. Glad to have you out. It's a special event. We never do this, but we thought, why not? Let's give it a try. We'll do a live stream from the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Yep. So he's got his color out, so he'll be using that again for the next vase. And you can see all the different color frit he's using. So remember, that's crushed up glass that have different metals added to it. Remember, every metal makes a different color. Head on it. So we're just going to get that some time to heat up. So Foster, can you give us a little history of glass making at the Renaissance Festival?
Hold on.
We were in, Theta and I did the Texas Renaissance Festival on the north side of Houston from 1984 until 1984 to 1989. In 1985, or in the end of 1984, we were invited to come up here to the Maryland Renaissance Festival to
build this glassblowing studio and do educational narrative demonstrations, which is what we had been doing for all the time that we had been doing the glassblowing demonstrations. That's our whole thing, is to educate and entertain simultaneously. That said, in 1986, Theta and I moved up here to Maryland, and we took a permanent studio in the off-season at a place called Savage Mill, which is over by NSA, Route 1 and Route 30, BW Parkway, and Maryland Route 32, which is an east-west highway. That said, we were at Savage Mill from 86 until 97, and when they had a management change, we moved over to our current location, which is out in Laytonsville, Maryland. I spent 2 years repurposing the dairy barn where our studio is. We opened up the spring of 2000. And then, Josh, you came and took classes in 2003, and as they say, the rest is history.
That's right.
Josh has been with us for, come on, 20 years now, and he's just a terrific glass maker, as we all are. And we enjoy sharing and educating, which is what this is all about, and making our living through making art. So we hope that you have enjoyed this past demonstration. I'd like to do the same thing again, although I can change it up. Maybe I'll make a ring bottom ruffled vase, and we hope that you'll enjoy this as much as watching the first demonstration. But let's go back a little bit further. I actually trained in the UK in 1980 and 81, and that was where I had my foundation training, working in the Stellar Bridge area, which is traditional glassmaking country, and our instructors were industry people who were tapped to teach this program. And I was one of 14 students. I was the only Yank, and I was on the third full year program, which actually ran for about 25 years or 30 years, and unfortunately they're no longer in existence, but it was just a terrific exposure. So,
Awesome.
Glad to have you with us. Look forward to having you enjoy this.
Awesome. Thank you, Foster. Yeah, that's great. And that actually leads me to the question I was going to ask him, but he already answered that for me, is what's his favorite part about coming out to the Maryland Renaissance Festival? And he mentioned it, educating the public. You know, when the public's more educated, they understand what goes into the art that we make. And I'm sure the woodworkers can totally understand that. You know, they say, okay, why does the piece cost this much? And they don't quite understand how much work goes into that, or the 35 years it took to learn that skill. So it's always nice to be out here because we can educate the public. We can tell them what goes in to making each piece out here. And they get a better understanding, and they get a better appreciation. So that's what we enjoy, just showing people what we do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So good day and welcome to Temperature of 2300 degrees. Now it's strictly used to reheat the glass. Now the color we use comes in bar form and is imported from Germany, and it's made by adding different oxides of metals to the glass. For instance, if you add manganese, you get purples and lavenders. Copper oxide, if added to the glass, will give you this really pretty red color. Of course, if you add the metal cobalt, you get the cobalt blue. And if you add gold to the glass, you get a cranberry pink color. So every metal or oxide of a metal makes a different color. Now he's got a piece of white color on the end of the pipe, and that's made by adding titanium to the glass. So he's cooling and shaping it on that margarine table. Welcome to all the folks that are joining us from the Virtual Craft Festival. We're doing a demonstration at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. We're out here for 9 weeks out of the year, and we do about 15 demonstrations a day. Once again, he'll blow into the pipe, trap the air with his finger. The trapped air heats up and expands a small bubble into that white color.
And so here we have colored glass initially on the end of the blowpipe. This is one of the ways of introducing color to the glass that you see about you in our studio today. By having this colored glass initially on the end of the blowpipe, it is one of the ways of introducing color. Again, this is one of the ways of introducing color to the glass by having it initially on the end of the blowpipe.
So now he's coming over to the main glass furnace, and this glass furnace holds about 150 pounds of clear molten glass. The glass is in a molten state just at the floor of the furnace, and he sticks the pipe in and turns, and it wraps or coats that clear glass on the end of that pipe. It also has the consistency of honey or treacle. And that's why you'll see Foster constantly turning that pipe, and that's to keep that glass centered. You can see just how fluid that material is. If he stops turning, it wants to run to the ground. So now he's using a tool that's called a block. The block is made from a piece of fruit wood, and the wood is cut green and remains in water for the life of the tool. Once again, he'll blow into the pipe, trap the air with his finger. The trapped air heats up and expands that bubble into the color and clear glass. Now Foster needs to make sure that this first gather is cold enough to withstand a second gather without collapsing that initial bubble. So he's using that block to cool it, and he's also just going to allow the air to cool it as well.
So here you can see where the white colored glass has been expanded slightly into the first gather or wrap of clear, which covers the color now on the end of the blowpipe. Again, that white colored glass has been expanded into the first gather or wrap of clear, which covers it now on the end of the blowpipe. And the white color, or the clear colored glass, is actually what gives us the body necessary to make the individual pieces.
So this would be Foster's second gather or wrap of clear glass from the furnace. The amount of glass or gathers Foster gets determines the size he is able to make. To melt that frit smooth. If you're just joining us, we're at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. This is Foster Holcomb working. And we're doing a live demonstration for you. Now this tool is called a block. It's made from a piece of fruit wood that's been carved out. And all the wood is green and remains in water for the life of the tool, and that keeps it from burning. And you can see we only have about 10 seconds or so to work the glass before Foster needs to return to this furnace. Now he's using that steel top table to do a little bit of shaping. And he's expanding that bubble a little bit further. This tool is called the jacks, and he's using the jacks to cut down a neckline, which will make the transfer a little bit easier later. Are we doing optics? No. He's also using a pad of wet newspaper, and this helps cool the bottom. We always want the bottom of our vases to be a little bit thicker, so we cool it with the paper or the newspaper. A little bit more cooling on that table. That metal's cooling the glass. That way the top where the pipe is blows out a little thinner. He's cutting down that neckline a little bit further. Foster's now using centrifugal force to elongate the shape. This is freehand glass blowing. If this vase were made in the glass industry, it would be blown into a mold to give it its size and shape. Since no molds are used, Foster uses gravity, centrifugal force, along with over 35 years of experience. You can see just with that heat and that centrifugal force how much length he's able to get. You can start to see those colors showing on that vase. Step. Just doing a little bit of cooling. And then a little bit of blowing just makes that bottom a little bit larger. You can see he's always returning to that furnace. Just have a small window of time to work it. So he's using that wood paddle to flatten the bottom. And he's making what we call a ring bottom vase. Has a slight foot. All right, so now that the bottom's flat, he's ready to do what we call a transfer. Sure. So before that, I'm going to give him a little help. See if I can balance the camera and the paddle at the same time.
Now, that's great. Good. Thank you.
All right, so Foster's going to be doing the transfer. So now he's just hanging it on 2 nails over here. And you can see it's hot enough where it does not crack, but cold enough where it does not slump or get longer. And you can see it's just hanging there off of 2 nails. And what he's doing is he got a little bit of clear glass that's called a punty on a second solid iron. Now the punty gets its name from the French word for bridge. The punty is called the bridging tool because it allows Foster to move the vase from the pipe, and he can then finish or open the mouth. So he attaches the punty to the bottom center, places a drop of water on the neck, and with a light tap, it separates. So now Foster's concentrating the heat of that furnace on the mouth or rim of that vase. Every once in a while, though, you'll see him place it all the way inside, and that's to bring some heat to that punty. That punty is only a small bit of glass, and if that bit of glass were to get too cold, the vase may come off before he was finished. Now, if the same piece were made in the glass industry, there would be a team of people working, each with a specific job. The first person would gather the glass and hand it to a gaffer. The gaffer would then blow it into a mold to give it its size and shape. They would hand it off to a third person who would open the mouth. However, no one single person would have it from start to finish. Foster is part of the studio art glass movement, which was revived in the 60s by Harvey Littleton and Dominic Labino. Studio art glass is highly sought after because it's done in the manner you see here, by one artist from start to finish, and each artist signs their work. All of the glass you see before you in our studio is signed and also for sale. And we do accept the King's MasterCard as well as the Queen's Lady Visa. You may also purchase this vase you're watching Foster make, and we do accept custom orders, so you can choose the size, color, and shape you would like. Now, if you would like this vase, it does need to be annealed. When he has finished opening the mouth, he'll take it off that punty and place it inside the oven at the back of the studio. That oven holds the glass made throughout the day at 1,000 degrees. At the end of the day, we shut off that oven, and the glass inside is allowed to cool very slowly overnight. That cooling is necessary, for if Foster were just to leave this on the ground, it would cool too quickly and break. Now this tool he's going to be using is called a steam stick, or steam cone. The water on the cone heats up, turns to steam, which then inflates the top. So I'll show you a neat little tool that Foster made years ago. This is called...
That was the first tool that I made.
Is that the first tool?
Yeah, I made that. They made that in 1984.
You can see it doesn't have to be an expensive tool. Probably what, $3 or $4 worth of material, but it works really, really well. And we'll be using that in just a minute. He's using the jacks to open the mouth. Now, if Foster did not put this piece of glass through the annealing process, the slow cooling process, over the course of about 5 minutes, it would actually break. So tomorrow morning, once those pieces have gone through that cooling process, he'll take those out of the oven and he'll sign his work. The demonstration and custom ordered pieces get sent out during the week. The king's cousin, Uncle Sam, allows us to use his castle, the post office, where we're able to ship work to you first class and insured. You see, it just presses down on it. In between, it falls, gravity pushes it or pulls it, and you get that scalloped rim. See if we can get a shot this side. A little hot. Now we can get a view of that scalloped rim, a little bit of shaping.
And there's your ring bottom scalloped vase made for you during the demonstration. We hope that you have enjoyed the demonstration. We also hope you feel that you learned a little something during the demonstration. If you have additional questions or we might need sales assistance, you are welcome to stay with us. We would be happy to talk with you, help you with those custom orders and purchases. We do trust that you are and have been enjoying your day at the festival. Thank you for being with us for the hottest show in the realm. A good day to you one and all. Good day and a hearty huzzah. Thank you. The fluter in a couple of weeks, so, and I haven't done the ring bottom as well. So the two working together make for a great piece. Somebody will definitely buy that tomorrow if they haven't stepped up to the plate here this afternoon. Hey, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate being with you, and we look forward to the next time that we have the opportunity to get together. I think it'll probably be back in our studio, back in Laytonsville, back in our repurposed dairy barn. We look forward to working with you again there. Thank you again. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Theta. Thank you, Patrick, for all of your help out here. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, folks. And don't forget, 5 o'clock is going to be the next Virtual Craft Festival live stream. So look at the schedule, and we'll see you then. Thank you, folks, for joining us, and have a great day from the Maryland Renaissance Festival. Thank you, folks.